eventful day yesterday. Lately, yeah, we've been having some parts issues, so we went home like a few hours into the shift. So, not bad for a Monday. But of course, we know by now they've compensated for this, so we'll be stuck here the rest of the week. We are scheduled this Saturday, so just a reminder until something changes, we'll be out here Saturday morning. Following week is Easter. So, but another thing, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I've been seeing this same comment everywhere, and it kind of shows me bias of the fandom. And it, like I said, this one's not a new one. It's been circulating for years, and I'm shocked it still hasn't gone away. And that is, I'll come back to the show when they have do a special where Capaldi wakes up and everything that's happened since then has been basically a dream or a nightmare. It's not going to happen. Um, I'm deeply sorry that you do not like the directions the show has gone since Peter Capaldi left, but as we say la vie. Either you embrace change or you just get left behind. It's um, first you have everybody going off on Chibnall and Jody and whatnot. Then now you got RTD coming back, and they've already turned on RTD, and and of course Shooty got one. And every time somebody who's not white shows up on a screen, it's diversity casting, it's DEI, I swear, for the longest time, I began to believe that DEI was some top secret enforcement agency like the DEA or the FBI or the CIA or something. I'm like, because you see it mentioned all the time, and it's like, everybody thinks this is a new phenomenon. Guys, weird shit's been going on our planet for I don't know how long. Are you just now catching on to the fact that these and those does occasionally occur? But it's like, every time you make a bold decision, there's going to be those folks who are like, don't agree with you and call you insane. And, well, it's just I've been seeing this comment again lately about Capaldi they have a special where Capaldi wakes up to it was all a dream. And it's like, I was sitting there last night and I'm like, don't they realize that this, and I got to say the same thing about me, don't they realize this rant is getting old? I don't know, maybe everybody's memory just got blanked after a certain point, because even the older fans should know this, especially the older fans should know this. I grew up in the world where we had, then again, I remember when Captain Marvel, Shazam, and all that was one person, where we had Captain Marvel, and you had Isis. You had Superman and Supergirl. You had Hercules and Xena Warrior Princess. Oh, Jesus, here we go. The Savior Christ. Yeah, you're writing this all based on a book that was written how long after he died? Ugh. Sorry, I'm not going to get into a whole religious debate. Yep. Yeah, you just hit it right on the head, Benjamin. Well, we didn't have She-Hulk in the 70s. That didn't come along till way later, and sadly, oh God, I didn't even watch that series because I knew they were going to screw it up. But it just amazes me that you can't have female leads anymore without people complaining. I remember just a couple of years ago, I can't remember which actor, maybe it was earlier last year. Some actress came out and said she was the first female true action star. I think it was Jennifer Lawrence for those weird ass whatever Hunger Games movies, and I'm like, no. like I said, people's memories have just, slipped. It's like, sorry, but I grew up in a world with like Sigourney Weaver and the Aliens movies, and just to name one right off the top of my head, it's like, ugh. She was the first female action star. I'm like, are you on drugs? That would explain, a lot of things. But it's like, trust me, there were a lot before that point. But of course, everybody says, well, those were spin-offs and all that. And it's like, yeah, it's like, and what was the point? What was the problem? It's like, all, they've done is capitalize on something that's, it's not like these ideas are old. Yeah, of course, Linda Hamilton in the Terminator series. And of course, you had the Sarah Connor Chronicles with Lena Headey in the lead, along with Summer Glau as the Terminator girl. Of course, Sarah Connor Chronicles really went off the rails there for a bit. But okay. But yeah, it's like, with Disney and all that, it's like they took the movie that made Disney, Snow White, and they turned it into something it wasn't. Like, we can't have dwarves in the movie, so we're going to have Snow White and the Seven Companions. Then that picture came out, and everyone was like, huh? So they did a bad CGI reshoot. They did some reshoots and bad CGI makeovers of the dwarves. And I'm like, it's too late. The cat was out of the bag. Then, like, as I said before, when you're lead on a movie, collect your paycheck and go home. Well, she was a great doctor. All of them were. They all had their moments, and everybody has their bad episodes, including the Tennant era, but no one chooses to remember any of that. These have got to be bad AI bots, I swear. But meanwhile, yeah, we're not too far away now, from the first episode of the season. I'm just, there's parts of me that are still a little bit shaky because they brought, RTD brings back Sutek, and then the following episode completely drops the ball on that. I'm like, you took the god of death for walkies. There was nothing wrong with the writing in Jodie's era. The writing was basically, you can't blame Chibnall because not every episode is written by Chibnall. Also, there were great moments and there were bad moments. Excuse me, David Tennant, let's cough a few ones up. A lot of people think the Idiot's Lantern was the dumbest damn thing they ever saw. Fear Her. And of course, Love and Monsters. What the hell they were thinking when they rolled that piece of shit out in front of the camera, I have no idea. But there's people who like those. Just like there's people who prefer the first Doctor, like you just said, William Hartnell. But there's a lot of Hartnell I didn't like. But there were still these great shining moments. And it's every Doctor has this. All the way back to the beginning of the series. So it's like, and of course I love it, we can't change the canon. It's like, if it weren't for the changes in canon, I've said this a billion times, you wouldn't have Time Lords, you wouldn't have Gallifrey, you wouldn't have this, you wouldn't have that, you wouldn't have Rassilon, you would have none of the lore you have now. Not one iota. Exactly, that's the problem. You can't blame the actors. They're out there doing a job. Just like, look at what they did to Ahmed Best after the Star Wars prequel movies came out. That poor guy was almost suicidal. And for what? Because he did a job. He didn't write the character. He didn't direct the character. He voiced the character. That was it. Yeah, you wouldn't have regeneration. None of that. Yeah, and that whole thing, yeah, about Sutek being, molded to the TARDIS or whatever. I'm like, that right there, I couldn't stomach either. I was like, because when I rewatched the episodes, I'm like, my God, I bought this. I'm like, and it completely ruined a classic villain. But in some cases, I don't think the show would have made it past the first season of the new revival if it hadn't been for Eccleston. Who else couldn't have, honestly, sit down and think of an actor who could have pulled off a line like, would you mind not farting while I save the world? Also, when they did the performance for Dalek, they wanted Eccleston to laugh it off. They wanted him to be funny. And it was at his insistence he said no. It was Eccleston's, thing said, no, this is not a laughing matter. And like I said, I still can't figure out why Bob Shearman has never been invited back to the series. Dalek was probably, at least for me, one of the, probably, if not the most memorable episode of the first season. So in a way, I can't blame him now looking back some of the things I found out that went on back in 05 and 04 that led up to it. I mean, it's like some of the decisions were pretty bad. But fortunately, it all turned out good in the end. But I don't know. Like I said, I do not know what to make of this upcoming series because I've not seen any of it yet. And somebody was talking about there were no YouTube influencers. I'm starting to see photos coming out and for that premiere. And there's some folks there. I'm like, it just amazes me though that we put our media and all that into the hands of armchair amateurs like myself. It's like, really? It's like you're putting the opinions of the viewing public in the hands of the sea. We got a comic store owner, we got and podcasters, some of these folks, that are out there just basically didn't want to go out and get a job. Well, the thing is about Pete Matigue and all that, it's like I said, a lot of people are hopeful he's going to take over, but I'm like, folks, they were saying that thing about Moffat, that Moffat came in, and then towards the end of the Moffat era, it got nasty. Then, they talked Chibnall into coming in to keep the series going, which, by the way, no one thanks him for, because if it hadn't for him finally saying yes, you wouldn't have had a series, period. No one wanted to run it. And I don't blame him. And look at all the hate he got the second he announced he was bringing in a female doctor from the minute till he left. Even after he left, people are still ranting and raving. And now, of course, RTD comes back and he starts, with Shudigawa. And look at, all the crazy shit we got going on here. I think I said, you could not pay me enough money to run Doctor Who. I'm like, you would have to pay me more than Jackson made for the Lord of the Rings movies. It has become a poison chalice. And there are days I get up, I read the comments, and I'm like, the first 3 words that go through my mind are cancel the show. I guarantee you they'll be humming a different tune in a couple of years after the show does get canceled. They'll go back, they'll rewatch it, and it'll suddenly become their favorite thing to do whatever things they do to themselves too. And, Chim will even admit it. He wanted Capaldi to hang around for a bit. But it was his decision to leave, and they honored it. Like I said, even if they offer me all the money on planet Earth, and it's like, okay, no, sorry. Even if you say, that would mean, those midnight, things where I dance around in my booty shorts on the TARDIS that, you're allowed to do that. It's in your contract. No, sorry. It's like, ugh. Because I've seen how fast your fandom will turn on you the second you make one bold decision. It's like, no. Well, okay, folks, it's about that time. I got to run inside. I just looked at the clock here. So please be kind, be calm, be safe, enjoy the rest of your day. We'll catch you all later. Enjoy your Tuesdays. And remember, we are working this Saturday until further notice, so hopefully we'll see you all the rest of this week. Take care, everyone, and enjoy your day.